Hey guys, Shane here with One Shift Time. How you doing? It is the All-Star break. I hope you enjoy. I'm not a big fan of it. I did enjoy the breakaway competition. It was kind of neat. It's silly and ridiculous, but it's kind of fun to watch. Other than that, I don't really care too much for the All-Star weekend, but I figured, hey, I've got the time. Let's do a power ranking of all 32 teams in the NHL. I definitely realize why I don't do this every week, as I'm 3 whiteboards deep. And I've only got the top 14 so far. This is going to be, for me, at least a 2-parter on the videoing. So let's start at number 32, to the surprise of absolutely no one, probably. We have the Montreal Canadiens. And how does a team go from on the cusp of winning a Stanley Cup in the Stanley Cup Finals last season to on pace for a record worst regular season in the modern statistical era? Meaning, since we've kept track of these things, no one has done as bad as the Montreal Canadiens are doing currently. And it is pretty obvious when you look at their leading scorer, who is Nick Suzuki. The guy has 9 goals in 44 games. And I'm not putting this on him. That's the best. That's the best on Montreal, is 9 goals in 44 games. You're not going to win many like that. Number 31, and this one's less surprising. This has been kind of their personal spot for the last couple years, right at the bottom. There was no 32 before, so they were quite comfortable at 31, and they still are. And that is, unfortunately, your Arizona Coyotes. We keep waiting for the breakout season, and it just does not seem to come. They are 11, 30, and 4 so far, with a minus 70 goal differential, meaning their opponents have scored 70 goals more than they have. That is absolutely insane. Clayton Keller, he's going to lead the way. He's got 17 goals and 38 points. And, potentially with them moving to a 5,000-seat arena in the ASU, things are not looking good in Arizona. I know Batman says it is a hockey market, but I wonder. And in number 30, we got a team that I've never talked about in the power rankings before, because last season, when I did the full power rankings, they did not exist, and that is going to be your Seattle Kraken. They have not had that ideal first season, as they have, not lived up to the hype that the Vegas Golden Knights laid before them on their first season, but that was the outlier. Most of the time when we do get these teams coming in on their first seasons, they do not do that well. Vegas was done right. That is definitely going to be the blueprint on how you do an expansion draft, but it's going to be tough for anyone to live up to that. So they are 15, 27, and 4. Grubauer is starting to play a lot better lately, so maybe they can string a couple wins together. They were able to get their first shutout as a franchise just recently, so it's little steps in the right direction anyway. Number 29. And you know what? They had a pretty good start to the season, but they've rocketed right back down to reality, and that is your Buffalo Sabres. Again, it was kind of nice to see them playing so well, but lately they've been really playing some truly uninspired hockey. They're 14, 24, and 7, and the frustration is building. It's so bad that goalie Aaron Dell took a 3-game suspension. He just went out and smashed somebody. You can just see the frustration there, and you don't like to see it, that's for sure. We're gonna move right on, and in 28th, and they're also on a 6-game losing streak currently, and that is the New Jersey Devils, another team that seems to be perennially at the basement here. Every season they're down here. They show signs of being all right sometimes, which has got to be pretty frustrating for the fans. Like, they put on some really good performances against some good teams, and then they just let Toronto walk over them the last 2 games. That really hurt. Jesper Brutt is leading the team. He's got 14 goals, 27 assists for 41 points. So that is at least one good sign. Hopefully things turn around in New Jersey. You hate to see them down and out for too long. Number 27. And this is really a Jekyll and Hyde team. You never know what you're going to get in the Philadelphia Flyers. They've gone on 2 massive losing streaks. I believe one was 12, one was 13 games. And yet they're not at the bottom of the standings. So it shows you that they also streak in the positive ways, which, again, this has got to be one of the most frustrating things for a fan, is to see your team play so well some nights and then other nights just absolutely horrible. I guess it's worth mentioning, we'll go with Keith Yandel on this one. He's got that Iron Man streak going to 964 games. But on the negative, it does sound like Claude Giroux has had enough and he wants to get out of town. And in number 26, we're going with the Ottawa Senators, who, for the last couple of years, I know we've been talking about this. There's just, they're almost there. Next season, maybe, they've got this good core of young guys, maybe next season. And it just seems that we keep saying that every year. Let's hope they finally do get it together, because, with Stützle and Kachuk, and they do, Batherson, they have some really good guys, but it just seems it's one step forward, two steps back with Ottawa. So they do seem to do good against Canadian teams, as I believe they've beaten every Canadian club so far this year, which is kind of weird, but 14, 22, and 4. They do have 3 to 6 games in hand on a lot of the teams that I put them ahead of the power rankings, even though those teams have more points. Because some of them, they're only 3 points behind, but have 6 games in hand. So as long as they don't have disastrous games, they should end up ahead. So number 25, and they're definitely clinging on to not rebuilding for some reason, and that is the Chicago Blackhawks. I think they should have started this rebuild a couple of years ago. But again, in the offseason, they went off and acquired Marc-Andre Fleury. Like, all they needed was a goalie to make a push. Obviously, it has shown that is not the case. They're floundering in many issues, and unfortunately, Marc-Andre Fleury has not been able to find his groove yet in Chicago. So I think they're going to have to trade him at some point to get some draft picks and go with this rebuild. Potentially, Chiarelli is coming in. We've heard rumors about that. So I think once he's in there, that we're going to actually see the rebuild. Kane and Taves both have that absolute no movement clause, so that is tough to get around. Number 24, we're going to have the Columbus Blue Jackets. And the bleeding has not stopped with the firing of Tortorella, unfortunately. They were about the same place last year at this time of the year, and that was a big disappointment because there was a lot of expectations. This year, at least there wasn't the expectations, I guess. So, again, Patrick Laine is just he's not fitting in there. I don't know what it was. I thought originally it was maybe Tortorella, but he's just not the player that used to be chanted, but Laine's better. When they were referring to him and Austin Matthews, that's not a conversation anymore. Austin Matthews is just continuing to put up the numbers, and Laine has dropped off the map, unfortunately. So hopefully something can happen there. Number 22, and now one of the first teams that's starting to look like they're maybe putting things together, maybe heading in the right directions. That is the New York Islanders. Again, another team that's seems to take 1 step forward, 2 steps back, but they had that horrible start to the season, and a lot of it did have to do with the fact that they were on the road for the first month and a half, almost 2 months, while their arena got completed. Then they got home to open their arena. I believe they went on a 6-game losing streak to open their arena too, so it was just really, really rough start. And they, as I said, they have started to claw back, and you really don't want to bet against a Barry Trotz team because the man can coach, that's for sure. And number 22, probably streaking in the opposite direction. Unfortunately, it is going to be your Winnipeg Jets. They started off the season so well. They were in the top 10 list quite often in the beginning of the season, putting up good wins over good opponents. And now they're just dropping. Unfortunately, they're the kind of team that now allows Philadelphia to come and beat them. So that is not the kind of team you want to be. They're led by Kyle Connor with only 20 assists. Can you believe that? He's only got 20 assists to lead the team in 42 games. You need a guy that's at least getting assists a game, or at least close to that. Let's keep on going. Number 21, and that is going to be your San Jose Sharks. This is another team that has just been struggling. In the last couple seasons, it seems ever since they went on that decent playoff run, and then they tried to get some more pieces like Carlson and stuff, that they've just been mired in futility almost. They really can't get anything going. It's sad because I do like this team, but they do have the one bright spot. They got the goaltender Zach Sawchenko. Sorry if I mispronounced that, but he does have a 1.54 goals against average and a .952 save percentage. So there's that. There's the bright spot. But again, they need more scoring. All these teams at the bottom seem to be having the same issue, and that is definitely scoring. Number 20, definitely improving from last year. Maybe not as much as people were hoping. This is a team that's playing pretty close to 500 hockey. Unfortunately, they are in the Eastern Conference, and that's not going to make the playoffs with that. They're 20, 21, and 6. So far from the worst record in the NHL, definitely. But they do trail Boston for that third wild card spot in the East, and they are 9 points behind Boston, and they've also played 4 games more than them, so it's going to be really tough to make up that ground. And 19, just finally on the right side of the top 20, we have the Dallas Stars. This is another team showing such good hockey sometimes, playing so well, beating really good opponents, and then blowing 3-1 leads in the last 5 minutes of games. So that has got to be super frustrating for fans. There are a few good spots though that in Dallas that are playing very well. Their goaltending has been very good. Rope Hintz leads the way. He's got again only 20 goals though in 43 games. Again, another issue with one of these teams, just not getting the scoring. 18. Bouncing back after a horrible start to the season, that is the Vancouver Canucks. The change of coaching really worked there. Bruce Boudreau has really gotten those boys playing. They're still not scoring, which has got to be concerning. Let's see, I think it's JT Miller is going to lead the Canucks with 15 goals. If you want to win, you're going to have to score a lot more than that. I mean, Demko is playing absolutely lights-out hockey, and he's winning these games for you, but you can't rely on that. You really need to see Besser and Pettersson scoring. I mean, that is what they are paid to do. Number 17, and we're going to stay on the West Coast, and that is going to be the Anaheim Ducks. Again, they are third in the Pacific right now. It's looking not too bad. They're playing some decent hockey. That's why they are kind of in the mid-pack here of it, but they are only 3 points up on the Flames and the Edmonton Oilers. And those guys have like 6 games in hand. So even if they are only able to get 3 overtime losses out of the 6 games, they're going to catch. And the way Calgary and Edmonton are playing right now, I think they'll pick up a couple wins out of that at least. The bright story out of Anaheim has to be Troy Terry's got 25 goals, 16 assists. And that Trevor Zegras guy's not too bad either. If you want to check out one thing from the All-Star game, check out his breakaway. It is absolutely insane. The guy has puck control that I've never seen in my life. Number 16, staying in California, we have another team that story sounds so familiar. They have been playing better as of late. They're 5-3-2 in their last 10 games, but that is the Los Angeles Kings, who are a pretty fun team to watch when they're not wearing those bright silver helmets, which make it very hard to watch. A lot of speed, but their special teams has been absolutely killing them. They are 24th in the power play and 30th in the penalty kill, which is why they are losing these games, unfortunately. Number 15, and this is a team of streaks. We have the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they streaked their way all up into the top 10 a couple weeks ago. And now this 4-game losing streak is streaking them right back out of it again. I thought they would have been doing a lot better, honestly, because they've now gotten healthy. They have Crosby back, they have Malkin. They're really Jari's in net, right? Like, they have their team. I thought that was what we were kind of waiting for, was them to get healthy. But it almost seems that since they got healthy, they're not playing as well. They're not as hungry. I don't know what it is, but never underestimate the Penguins. If they can make the dance, anything can happen. Number 14, and they're also dropping out of the top 10 with some bad play as of late, and that is their rivals ever since those two players came into the league, and that is the Washington Capitals, and the rival, of course, to Sidney Crosby is Alexander Ovechkin. They're fresh off that loss to the Oilers, and now Ovi is in COVID protocol, which is kind of coincidental, wouldn't you say? A guy that never wants to play in the All-Star break and usually gets fined for not being there, conveniently gets COVID on All-Star weekend, so he doesn't have to play. Anyway, the guy's on an absolute heater as usual, 29 goals and 58 points, so there is that. Alright, next boards, and we got number 13. And they're bouncing back after a bit of a rough patch, and we do have the Calgary Flames. They've only lost 1 of their last 6 games, and that did come, unfortunately, to their rivals, the Oilers. Calgary is playing some great defense. They are second best in the league with a 2.5 goals per game against. And they're third best in the PK. They're 84.3%, so great numbers. Markstrom leads the way in the NHL with 7 shutouts. That's more than most teams. And you know, Vladar has got 2 as well. That's 8th most shutouts in the league. So 2 goalies with the top 8 amount of shutouts in the league. just really good. You're going to win a lot of games when you don't allow many goals like that. And they're really starting to shoot the puck. They have the most shots, tied with Tampa Bay in the league. They're eventually going to start going in. So things are looking good for Calgary. Number 12 also heading back up. We have the Edmonton Oilers. And honestly, that game against Calgary, they were in that long winning streak. Sometimes a game against your rival can really bring it up. And the Oilers have been playing some really good hockey since then. They also are one of the best teams in the league at some points. Like, it's so hard to gauge the Oilers because sometimes they're just unbelievably good. You're like, these are world beaters. Nobody's going to beat these guys. And then they're hot garbage sometimes too. So I think the addition of Kane really does help in the secondary scoring. But I am really still concerned about the goaltending situation. And I really think if they're going to make some noise in the playoffs, they need someone, or Mike Smith needs to come back and play some stellar hockey. But I mean, he's been really having some injury issues this year. Number 11, they're going to drop out of the top 10 after a few tough weeks. And that is the St. Louis Blues. They lost some big games, the one against Calgary. They did come back and win the rubber match against Calgary, but then they got blown out by the Jets as well. And again, that's not a team you want to get blown out by. Their bread and butter has definitely been their special teams. They have a 28.5% on the power play. That's good for second in the NHL. And they're tied with Calgary with that 84.3% on the power play, or penalty kill that we talked about earlier. As we said, that is third. They've been a nice schedule coming up. They have some kind of easier games. They do play the New Jersey Devils, the Chicago Blackhawks, and the Ottawa Senators coming up. So could move back into the top 10, but number 10 right now, and they are back into the top 10 after a week out, is the Boston Bruins. And they've been playing some really good hockey lately. Besides that one setback to the Stars, they also recently welcomed back Tuukka Rask, which, once he gets back in NHL form, I think is going to really help them on the back end. Taylor Hall is really fitting in nicely on that second line, giving them a second dangerous line that the opponent teams have to worry about. And Marchand is already at 50 points again. So absolutely crazy, and good things happening in Boston, I think. And up to ninth this week, we have the Vegas Golden Knights. They are 27-16-3 for 57 points. That is going to be good for first in the Pacific. And they sounds like they're going to be welcoming Jack Eichel to the lineup shortly after the All-Star break. So adding one of the premier players in the NHL to your lineup should do wonders to a team that is already really doing good. So they do play the Oilers on Tuesday and then the Flames on Wednesday. So we'll see how they do when they head to Alberta. Number 8, and they're up a spot this week. We have the Nashville Predators. They're winners of 3 of their last 4 games, so they've been playing some good ones. They did drop that one to the Oilers, but it was in the shootout, so still got a point out of it. UC Saros is backstopping them with a 2.35 goals against average and a 9.27 save percentage. They do head to Dallas, and they're going to play the Stars on Wednesday. And moving up to 7th, and they're staying in the same place as they were last week, and that is the New York Rangers. This has got to be one of the best stories in the NHL. A team that was remarkably better last year, and they put another step forward this year. They are being led by Chris Krieger, who leads the NHL with 33 goals. I'm not sure that's sustainable, but it's looking good right now. Igor Shesterkin he's been a top 3 goalie this whole season. And of course, Adam Fox, he's had 40 assists already. So everything seems to be lining up for the Rangers to make a good run. I don't see them getting knocked out of the playoffs at this point, so it's going to be nice to see the Blue Shirts back in there in the dance. And number 6, they're going to drop 2 spots this week, and it is the Tampa Bay Lightning. They played a couple weaker opponents, and they've had some really tight results. The one was a 3-2 win that they had over the New Jersey Devils. You'd expect them to win a little bit more than that. Then they did play the Golden Knights. They did drop that one in a shootout, so I'm not going to punish them for that one. But then again, they were only able to go to overtime to beat the San Jose Sharks. So just a little concerning. I mean, it is Tampa. I'm not really too concerned about them. They're one of the best plays. I mean, Andrei Vasilevsky is in his Vezina form again. He's 9.22 save percentage and a 9.23 goals against. So yeah, Tampa I'm not too worried about, but they are dropping a couple spots this week. Number 5, and they're up 5 spots this week as they just continue their really good play as of late, and it is the Minnesota Wild. They're on another 6-game winning streak, and they're only 1 point behind Nashville for second in the Central, even though they've played 5 games less. Kirill Kaprizov is just continuing his amazing start in the NHL after his great rookie season. In his second season so far, he's got 19 goals, 34 assists for 53 points. And they head to Winnipeg to play the Jets on Tuesday. A winnable game for sure. Number 4 in their up spot again this week is the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they absolutely demolished the New Jersey Devils in both games they played this week, and that is what needs to happen. They're 29-10-3. They sit third in the Atlantic, which has got to be the best division in the league. I don't know that there's much argument there. They do host the Carolina Hurricanes on Wednesday. I think that's going to be one of the games of the week, definitely. Then they head west. They're going to play Calgary and Vancouver to make up for those games that got postponed earlier this season. Number 3, and they're down a spot this week. We do have the Florida Panthers. They're 32-10-5. They have 69 points. First in the Atlantic, but they have played 5 games more than the Hurricanes, so they're going to drop to a spot due to that loss to the Rangers, and they do have a big game coming up against the Hurricanes as well on Wednesday. Then the Wild on Friday. Sam Bennett leads that team in scoring with 21 goals. And number 2, up a spot, swapping spots with the Florida Panthers, we do have, of course, the Carolina Hurricanes. They're currently on another 4-game winning streak. Sebastian Aho's just having himself a season over there. He's got 19 goals, 26 assists, 45 points. He leads in all those categories for the Hurricanes, so he leads in all goal-scoring categories. It's good to see Freddie Anderson having such a good bounce-back season. And as we said, he's going to head to take on his former squad there as they do hit the Maple Leafs on Monday. I think I said Wednesday earlier in the Hurricanes, but it will be Monday that the Toronto and Hurricanes play. And number 1, this is no surprise for the 3rd straight week. Yes, they did lose to the Coyotes in overtime, but I mean, that streak did have to end eventually. Nazem Kadri is just having himself a season as well. He's got 41 assists, 60 points. And the Avs have an 8-point lead on every team in the West. I think it was as obvious that the Colorado Avalanche were first in this power rankings. It was as obvious as the Montreal Canadiens were in the last place position. I think those ones are pretty set. Let me know otherwise what you guys think, where your teams are, how I screwed up, how I could do better. You guys know the drill. Please like, subscribe, share this thing around, and as always, we'll see you guys in the next episode.